I recently had a case where a father called me, came in to talk to me. And right in the first phone call conversation, I just really liked the client. He's very open and honest, well educated, and ironically, his own father had worked for the Department of Children and Families. So he knew firsthand the problems, the issues that you can face, and what DCF, the power, the enormity of their power they can do to a family. He came in and told me, he said, my kids are everything. Everything I have, everything I will ever be, Kevin, I do it for my kids. And he was an extremely dedicated dad, much to his credit. What happened was his two children, who were babies at the time, there was noise from the neighbor. So they asked the neighbors to please be quiet because the babies are sleeping. And the neighbors wouldn't stop what they were doing. It was really, really, really loud. And so the parents called the landlord, and then the neighbors called DCF on my client. Made up some bogus, false allegations. DCF came in, the investigator made an appointment that the family accidentally hit the wrong time and the wrong day. So the investigator's a little bit hostile towards my client, the father, and supported an allegation of substantiated concern against my clients. And now, with a substantiated concern, you got to file for what's called a grievance. With a neglect allegation or abuse, you have to file for a fair hearing. So during the assessment, that's when the clients call me and says, Kevin, we want to get DCF out of our life. Case closed quickly without losing our children. That was huge to them. So I worked with them and DCF in the spirit of cooperation. We made it easy peasy with a step-by-step guided plan, which the father followed religiously. And we met with the assessment worker, who was like night and day from the investigator, according to my clients. The assessment worker couldn't have been nicer, couldn't have been more courteous, and couldn't have been kinder to not only my client, the father, but also to his babies. And she came one time, and she came late, which never happened. We were worried about it. We were calling her on the phone. She had a flat tire, the poor thing. This was in the middle of winter time. It was really cold out. She finally got to the house. She came right out and told us what happened. She wasn't ashamed or embarrassed. She was just so honest. She was so refreshing. And she told the family how that the allegations of substantiated concern, she didn't think she'd ever been supported or even levied against my clients, and that she would go back and she'd talk to the powers that be. And she saw what great parents and what a great parent, what a great dad this dad was. How he worked multiple jobs, was going to graduate school, and helped with all the caretaking for the children. And they were very young babies. So when all was said and done, in the spirit of cooperation, DCF assessment worker was just such a nice person, so understanding, so caring, and so thoughtful that my client, whose father worked for DCF, just looked at me at the end and said, Kevin, I'm so glad we got to meet this assessment worker, because my world had been so colored by this other investigator who was just downright lousy to my family. And it just goes to show there's good and bad in everything. Sometimes you get a bad investigator, sometimes you get a good assessment worker. Sometimes the flip-flop happens. Sometimes you get a good investigator, and sometimes you get a good assessment worker. Sometimes you get neither. It's a balance. And sometimes that balance is out of whack, but in the end, the good thing is that DCF recognized this was a good family, closed the case quickly. DCF was out of their life forever, and their children, as the father said, were never taken. And he was happy. He was very happy.